Hey there, Rockets! Now that we're done with our research, it's time to talk about it. I thought that the best way for us to learn how would be to see an actual conversation where two people talk about their research. Let's tune in with Gamer Sensei to find out how we are supposed to talk about our research. I want you in particular to pay close attention to their transitional phrases. That is a fancy word that means sentence starters. How do they build off of each other in their conversation rather than just talking at each other? Let's take a look.
When I'm lonely, I press play. Can I get closer? What antidote can I bring to you? When I'm lonely, I press play.
I will direct the Centers for Disease Control to go ahead and study the best ways to reduce it. And Congress should fund research into the effects that violent video games have on young minds. We don't benefit from ignorance. We don't benefit from not knowing the science of this epidemic of violence.
When I'm lonely, I press play.
Okay, I think I'm done researching. Thanks for sticking around a little later. I actually wanted to have a little talk with you.
What is this about? If you're trying to get me to not post that tantrum of yours to Facebook, it's not gonna work. I already did.
Thanks. That was scummy of you.
Gamer girl, people have the right to know who's teaching their children. Just because you're my sister doesn't mean that I can stand in the way of people knowing who you are.
Right. Anyways, you should know that I've researched your claim about how video games cause violence, and I want to talk to you about the findings.
Oh, so you discovered the truth about them then? Does that mean you're gonna stop playing that trash?
I have never played trash before. I have a PS4 and a PC. I don't play Xbox.
Then what is this about, gamer girl? Do you honestly think that whatever you found is really going to change anyone's opinion about violent video games?
Well, I think I have. But I want to hear your side too, so I can figure out where you're getting all this evidence from. We'll take turns talking about our research and decide at the end how video games affect behavior.
Okay, well, here's this. It was just posted to our Mom Squad Facebook page.
Wow. Is that supposed to be a meme? Why is it so terrible?
It's supposed to show how violent video games are.
Okay. Then, how about this?
What? Where did you get that? That is so untrue.
I made it. I'm thinking about posting it to Twitter.
You can't do that. You just made it up.
Who do you think made your meme, huh? You don't know who made it. It's not credible. Don't you have any credible research about video games and how they affect behavior?
I guess CNN did mention something about how violent video games make people more aggressive. And I think it was Healthline.com also said that violent video games can make kids do more risky things and less likely to care about people who are hurt in the real world.
Oh, that was actually pretty thoughtful.
Well, I'm not an idiot.
I didn't mean it like that. Well, so I can see where you're coming from, but I see things differently. You know how they use the word aggressive a lot in those studies? I don't think it necessarily means that the players become violent.
I'm not sure what you mean by that. Can you say it another way?
Sure.
You remember in high school when you were on the cheer squad and you guys had that chant that said, be aggressive, be aggressive? I mean, it's the same word. Were you trying to get your team to punch somebody?
I mean, of course not. We were trying to get them to win.
Exactly. Because aggression is just another word for competitive, which is the point of most video games, to win. But let's not even stop there. You know, because I did that research, and according to ParentingScience.com, when they say that video games cause aggression in people, they have to say that it's a temporary thing. Video games don't permanently make you more aggressive, just immediately after you play the games. So not any more than a book or a movie would change your personality.
Just to be clear, that research came from a parenting website?
Yes, but I think we've said enough about how video games can negatively affect us. I'd like to talk about how video games can positively affect us.
Okay, let's hear it then.
Right, so according to the American Psychological Association, playing video games actually improves certain skills such as reasoning or memory ability, especially in those violent shooter video games. This means that video games like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, and even Fortnite are helping people who play them learn skills that will be useful for school, especially math and science, where memory plays a big part in thinking fast.
I think I see what your point is, but I don't think those things make up for the fact that it makes kids okay with violence. I think you're biased. You're only mentioning good things about video games, but they're definitely not all good.
Well, so my opinion is that video games are mostly positive. But if I did have to say one thing that I don't like about most video games, it would be how they represent a lot of women in them. According to QuartzMedia.com, because a lot of the games have been marketed to boys and men, there really isn't a whole lot of female representation in them. And I think that is really a failing point of a lot of video games, because you get women that show up, but usually they're getting rescued or they're just annoying. And even the ones that are helpful, or even the ones you can play as, are usually like one perfect body type, even though the men in the game can have a bunch of different body types. But all that said, I still see a great value in playing video games. They're a really good way to hang out with friends. They help you to learn skills like how to problem solve. And they even teach people what it's like to be in another person's shoes for a little while.
I did like what you said about how you don't feel represented in video games because you're a woman. I know I definitely do not feel represented when I see women running around in those games in high heels.
Yeah. Hey, did we just have a normal conversation?
What do you mean?
Well, you actually sat down and listened to me, and I listened to you, and we both found out together that video games are both positive and negative.
Oh my gosh, no! I just found out that you are a huge hypocrite who plays violent, sexist video games even though you know they're violent and sexist. Oh my gosh, just wait until you find out what I'm gonna do with this video.
You filmed me again? Oh, that's it!
What? No!
When I'm lonely, I press play.
Welcome back, Rockets. So, that was an interesting conversation, wasn't it? Remember that the key thing I wanted us to look at were those transitional phrases. Notice how they were able to build off of each other's comments by saying things like, in my opinion, or according to my research, or even, I don't see it that way, I disagree, or possibly even I do agree with you. All of these things are called transitional phrases, and they are useful for having an academic discussion, which we will be having very soon. I hope that you've learned something today, guys. Unfortunately, this is our last lesson video. I've had a blast making these things with you guys. I hope you've enjoyed them as much as I have with making them. Okay, Rockets, well that's all for today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful rest of the school year. Goodbye.
When you're lonely, press play. 'Cause you're not resolved in your heart. You're waiting for me to improve. Right here, when I'm lonely, I press play.